CJ Stewart here, sitting with the legendary Dale Murphy, and just really excited to be here with you.
Thanks,
So,
CJ.
one of the things that I want to just start out by saying, I can't wait to see your response to what I'm going to say, because you have no idea what I'm going to say. So, I fell in love with baseball in 1984, and the Cubs were the NL East champs.
Yeah.
My favorite player on that team was Gary Matthews, the Sarge.
He's the best.
Yeah, and so my granddad would watch Cubs games in the daytime, and then my grandmother would watch Braves games at night. And so she would watch the Braves games, and then she would go back and forth looking at Channel 2 with Monica Kaufman, now Monica Pearson. And so that's what my day was like, and then I would play outside in between time. And so, you know, Atlanta then, and still even now, was a segregated city, and it still is a segregated city. And we have mostly blacks here, mostly whites over in the Buckhead community, and I was raised in the Bankhead community. So even being born and raised in my family, all black family, black church, everything we did was a lot of black people, but it was two white men that would have always been invited to the family reunion. Steve Bartkowski, who was the quarterback for the Falcons.
Yeah, I remember.
And Dale Murphy. I mean, listen, within my black family, like, we loved Dale Murphy.
Thanks,
and so
CJ.
Even beyond just the baseball piece, I mean, you were a part of the Atlanta culture and the fabric.
Thank you.
So when I share that, I don't know if anybody ever has told you that you definitely had an invitation to a black family reunion.
I'm going to show up one of these days.
But what are your thoughts on that? I mean, so again,
first of all, I'm touched. I think while you're playing, and you're a kid, really, when I look back, you think you're an adult, but, you're still a kid. You don't really understand the impact that, you know a little bit. But since I've retired and have a conversation like with you, and you tell me those kind of things, I just think back. I would like to share that with the players that are playing now, and understand what their role is. You want to win, you want to hit a lot of home runs, you want to have a good average, but the power of a team in a community that can do things in bringing people together in a way that nothing else can do. It makes you just appreciate the chance to be a part of it even more. And I think that touches my heart so much. And I don't think as a kid I really understood that. You're just playing and you show up. But now to hear, since I've retired, and connect with you and other fans, and they tell me stories about how much this sports team meant to their community, regardless of race. It reminds me of the power of, and the importance, the cultural significance of athletic competition. And I think as players, we need to continually remind those playing right now, and just as the importance of it, building a community. And that's why I like ownership of these teams that realize you have a community responsibility, kind of a civic responsibility, to run your team well and to understand how important it is to the people that live there. Black, white, whatever, there's something within us as human beings. It's the competition, it's the pride. And I think there's something special, you and I would agree, about the sport of baseball. It's hard to describe. People say it's not our national pastime. I say it is. It's not the most popular sport on TV, but there's something that brings together generations and memories. I have memories of my grandmother inventing her own way to keep score.
Oh, wow.
And she had her own way, watching the games, keeping score. It links generations, I think, in ways that other sports don't. And it also is so connected to so many parts of our history as a nation and individual communities.
Well, to that point, I mean, baseball was the first sport invented by Americans, and so it was 1845 in New York. And so if you weren't playing baseball, you weren't American. And that
Right,
was one of the reasons
right.
why the establishment of the Negro Leagues in 1920, in as much as it was about playing the game, these were African Americans that were trying to prove that they were American through America's first
America's
game,
sport.
which is
Yeah.
America's favorite pastime. So I'm gonna throw out two names of men that had a huge impact on me, and I know you're gonna laugh at this right here, but so I was at one point was being groomed to be a pitcher, at least at the college level and possibly pros. And then I also had another hitting coach, well, another coach, he was my hitting coach who wanted me to focus on hitting. So my pitching coach was Larry Bradford, and my hitting coach was Terry Harper.
Terry Harper, two of my favorite teammates.
Yeah, I mean, and I remember even like meeting with these guys, and they were in the community, and being able to connect with them, and there was the power of them both saying, "Hey, listen, you can go very far in this game." One of my other good friends, who's become a mentor, is King Griffey Sr.
Absolutely.
So I think about y'all in the baby blue. If it was somebody that I would love to meet, it would be Bob Horner. I never got a chance to meet Bob Horner.
We'll make that happen.
I mean, so what do you think about even now, just Braves culture and even baseball bringing back old school, the baby blues, and even like no belts and all of that? I mean, what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, that's funny. I was the Braves invited me to spring training a few days ago, and I was in there putting on a uniform, and I was putting on a belt, and someone said, "Remember those days, Murph, when we just had snaps and no belts?" I go, "That was the 70s and early 80s." I think baseball does a good job with their nostalgia because people want to remember what it was like being young and what their experiences were, and so people remember me. I did wear the tomahawk. People don't really remember that.
I don't remember.
Yeah, the iconic baby blue uniform is what I remember for the most.
Yeah.
I mean, but the latter half of my career, but the home whites, with Braves, and the road baby blues. It's just, it's funny, but I think sports mimics the culture of our times, the colors, the styles. Remember in the 90s, the baggy uniforms, those have finally gone by the wayside for the most part. But it's fun to remember, the days that you grew up and when you fell in love with the game.
So speaking of back in the day, and so now kids are bringing in like stirrups and all of those things, pants with no belts. What's something that was happening during the time when you were playing that you wish remained or would exist now in this climate of travel youth sports?
That's a great question. I think there's some pros and cons from playing so much baseball that you don't get an opportunity to play other sports, and even the cross training, benefits of being able to. I would love to see less emphasis at a younger age on specializing, because you really don't know. I remember I grew like 3 inches between my sophomore and junior year, and I wasn't playing much basketball, but all of a sudden I was taller. So you don't really know what's going to happen to kids during their formative years and adolescence. So one of the things I would like to see more is more ability to play at least a couple sports. One of the best shortstops I've ever seen was Andrelton Simmons, and he grew up playing soccer. And he wasn't like really fast or really quick. He stole a few bases, but his footwork was always correct, and he was always in the right position at the right time. And he credits being able to play soccer as a kid for his footwork, and it just translated to baseball. So that's one thing I'd love the kids, but if they want to play ball, I get them out there and play baseball. That is awesome. I'd just like to see them play, experience some other sports and the cross training benefits. I think professionally, they've brought back a little bit more speed to the game, which I think is entertaining. Stolen bases, more doubles, more triples, maybe a few more bunts. I mean, I played with one of the best bunters, if not the best in the history of the game, Brett Butler.
Yeah.
And the bunt base hit, it's just exciting for fans, I think, to see more movement instead of the guys sitting back just trying to hit home runs. And I think I think things cycle, they cycle. And I think if you want to call it small ball or whatever you want to call it, I think there's always going to be a place for the hit and run, the bunts, stolen base, and I think that's coming back. Yeah.
So I was born in 1976, so I'm sure you're probably even thinking in your mind what you were doing in 76. And I know that it was about 18% of Major League Baseball players were African American. The Braves came from Milwaukee to Atlanta in 66, in part to help prove that we were a city too busy to hate. We became the first Major League sports team in the South to have a Major League team amid segregation laws, Jim Crow laws, and so on and so forth. And so 1976 was the year that Hank Aaron was in the front office with the Atlanta Braves, along with Bill Lucas.
That's right.
And I think I heard that Hank Aaron was a part of you being drafted. Was he a part of that, or?
Well, you're exactly right on the years. I was drafted in '74, so it was Bill Lucas.
Bill Lucas, that's right.
Bill Lucas was my first boss.
Okay.
First person I ever talked to when I got drafted. Gave me a call, and I'm in Portland, Oregon. I'm like, I don't even know where Atlanta, Georgia is. Now, '74, as you remember, Hank broke Babe's record. So as a senior, I saw it on TV, and then imagine in my mind, I get a call after the draft. Now, this is all pre-internet. I don't know. I know I'm going to get drafted, but I don't know who for sure. I get a call from the Atlanta Braves a couple of months after Hank Aaron breaks Babe Ruth's record that they're going to pick me, and it was Bill Lucas. So I signed, got drafted. I fly here. Bill Lucas meets me at the airport. He is the first and very impactful person in my career because I was scared to death. Like I said, I don't know where Atlanta, Georgia is. I probably couldn't pick it out on a map.
Right.
And I come here in '74. Hank, of course, I think played one more year in '75, but joined the front office in '76. So I was in the minor leagues.
Gotcha.
When Bill was here, and then I think Hank might have taken Bill's position as Ted Turner promoted Bill Lucas. Mm-hmm. So Bill was over the minor leagues when I signed, and then when I made it to the big leagues, Bill was he was basically general manager, and so I think about those days and why was Bill Lucas so impactful? Not only did he draft me and decide to make that decision, but I believe in the power of relationships is more motivating than anything else. Absolutely. And he believed in me. My parents, when they would come into town and make this cross-country trip to see where Dale was, Bill was there welcoming my parents. He was someone who believed in me personally as a player and as a person, and I'll never forget that. And one of the saddest days for my life was hearing the news of his passing, and I think back toward those times, and there's something about how he connected with me in that relationship. He didn't take me out to lunch and dinner every night. We weren't best buddies, but there was a professional relationship that I first experienced with Bill Lucas, and I was motivated to prove him right. Yeah. And I'll never forget him.
And with that being said, both of y'all are two great human beings, and Bill Lucas was an African-American man, and he was the first general manager for the Braves. You were, and still are, a white man. And so you're talking about this relationship where this is a black man with power, and he's a part of drafting you. Now I understand why, when I'm born in '76 and I'm being raised, I'm understanding why Dale Murphy gets invited to the Black Family Reunion. I understand
exactly. Now. First of all, credit Ted Turner with hiring Bill. and promoting Bill. But you know, a relationship can exist of mutual respect regardless of race.
Yes.
And so I was a kid, but I felt something, you know, from Bill. And so, you know, it just transcends our different backgrounds. And that's why I am so grateful to come up through the Atlanta Braves organization. Other thing, one of my most impactful managers in the minor leagues was Tommy Aaron, Hank's brother.
Oh, wow.
And so these black men in leadership in my young professional life had enormous impact on me. And it's because they treated me like a human being, treated me with respect. And so what do you do when you're treated with respect? You treat that person with respect. They taught me a great lesson, and I'll never forget those men who really left my life too early. Tommy Aaron as well passed away in the early 80s from leukemia. And then later on, of course, being able to get to know Hank. And then as an adult, after getting out of sports and starting to grow and read and see what Bill Lucas, Tommy Aaron, Hank Aaron went through, my respect for them has grown tremendously.
Well, much respect to you when I saw you on television, and much respect to you now.
Thank you.
That we
And
know
I
each other.
can't wait to get to that reunion.
Absolutely, man. Look, absolutely. It's going to be great. Well, thank you so much for spending some time and
Thanks,
talking.
CJ. Thank you.